Oh, hello there. Machete Mike. YouTubers, what are you looking for? Huh? You're here looking for something. You want to learn how to pour a cup of tea? No. You don't need that. You want to learn how to cook a chicken? Not going to find it here. You want to learn how to make a survival fire out of materials you can find around the house? Yeah? Yeah? Come with me. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, I need expensive tools to start a fire. If a fire gets wet, it'll go out. If my tools get wet, I'll never have a fire. Those are all valid points, and I'll get to them. But I'm going to show you how to make fire foolproof. If it gets wet, you're fine. If you need to make more than one fire, you're fine. Find yourself out in the wilderness, you could survive using this technique. So my tools today, as I keep my nifty little box, are probably the most important thing, the flint and steel. So this is a flint rod and a metal striking tool. You can get actually close to 1,200 strikes out of this. So what you want to do is you want to take the sharper edge of your metal striker and press down firmly and slide across. Press down and slide across. Doing this over and over, you can really become effective at catching a spark just about on every try. The next material, and actually the second and only material in the pack, although you can use the box for tinder, never forget that. Try to use a wood box or paper. The next piece of material is a cotton swab, or a cotton ball. Now this is just an extra large cotton ball. I got it out of a bag in my bathroom. Just any type of cotton ball you can find anywhere. You can get a pack of 75 for $2 at CVS or a similar store. What you want to do is you want to take the cotton ball, which if you lit this right now with the striker, all you have to do is throw a spark onto it. If you happen to light this right now, it may burn for anywhere between 15 and 30 seconds, which is not bad compared to nothing. So if you find yourself in a situation where you need to make a fire and all you have is cotton, that's fine. Or if you need to scratch some cotton lint out of your sock or off your clothing, that's cool too, you can use that. All acts as really good dry tinder that will catch and hold a spark, and enough time for you to blow it into a fire. So let's back to the cotton ball. So you have a normal sized cotton ball, like I said, 20 to 30 seconds, 15 to 30 seconds burn time. But if you take some petroleum jelly, like Vaseline, which you can buy for just a few dollars for an entire jar at the store, you take a small scoop of that on your finger, and you work it into the cotton, into the fiber, and into the material. You can actually get it packed down really tight, little ball. You do 15 of those, put them in a plastic sealable bag, makes it waterproof, and you'll have 15 fires ready to go. And if you're really in a bind, you know you're going to need more, you can break these up into 2 different sections. So actually that's what I did on my last camping trip, and I used them for every fire we started for just about a week. Worked great. I never had to go to any of my other tinder sources or emergency sources. So that's a good idea. So that's what we're going to use today. The flint and the steel comes together for $5. You can find it on Amazon or an REI store. And the cotton balls, like I said, just petroleum jelly, Vaseline is a good one, and just a cotton ball. Work it into it. You can save it on the side. They get wet. You can just dry them out, not a problem, especially if they're in that bag. So take a look down here. I'm going to pop a squat, and we're going to show you the other materials that we've collected. So I'll set this on the side. We have, now, out here it's all pine needles. It's all really dry material. There's a lot of really dry twigs. It probably hasn't rained in a while. And the ground underneath this first layer is pretty moist, but it's not moist enough to prevent a fire. So what you want to do is clear a wide enough area away for firing. So say your fire, for demonstration purposes and for a survival fire, maybe no wider than a foot or a foot and a half around. You want to make sure that at least double that or triple that around your fire is free and clear of dry debris. What you then want to do is you want to have, if you're going to do it on a wetter ground, this is like kind of mossy, and a little muggy and wet, you want to put down a fire platform. That's what it's called. And you lay down some really, it doesn't have to be necessarily really dry, but it helps. Dry wood on the bottom, so you create a fire platform to keep your fire up and off the ground. Because what you don't want to happen is you don't want the ground or the moisture underneath, if you're starting it on snow, to suck up the moisture from the ground. So that's an essential. I always do that. And you always want to make sure you have a nice dry fire base too. So that'll eventually get caught up in the fire once you get it going. Other than that, I've just picked up some of the driest twigs I could find, broke them into about finger length pieces. Keep those on the side. And that's really all you need, plus your little tinder ball to start. So what you want to do with this, when you have it all crushed up, it's a little dirty because it's been on the floor, but if you can get a good look close up on this. So you take the cotton ball and you start just working it back and forth until it kind of poofs out like a cloud almost. And you want to take that and you lay that down right on top of your floor piece, whatever you decided to use for the floor. You can even extend it out a little more if you don't want anything touching the ground in that area. And a nice, another thing I like to do is I like to create like a fire ring of wood, because if it's a windy day, it'll keep the wind kind of out of the bottom of the fire. That's where your fire will get put out. Okay, so you have a little bit. You normally build it up maybe 2 to 3 inches around, so it's like a little cabin around your fire. So then what you want to do is you want to take some of your dry sticks, and you want to work those around the cotton ball or your tinder ball. Get it kind of all the way around. And then that's really it. We're ready to light the fire. This could take anywhere between 1 strike if you've done it a lot and you can throw a really good spark the first time, or anywhere up to 5 strikes. But I mean, the best thing about this is that there's really no way for it to break. You can use any piece of steel. So if I had lost this steel, if this had fallen off, I could essentially use the back of my knife, as long as there's no carbon coating on that. And you can use the back of that, just scrape it off. You want to use like a sharp edge, but you don't want to ruin your blade, so I'm not going to do it with this. So even if this breaks off or anything like that, it's not a problem because you still have whatever's left and you can strike that right against the middle. So like I said, you just throw a spark, just kind of like that. See? When you get it right up against the cotton, it shouldn't take more than a couple of strikes to start the fire. And there we go. And you want to nurse it. You don't lose this, but you want to nurse it. So you want to see where the fire is growing highest and kind of just place it right around that. And like I said, this will burn for a good couple of minutes if you did it right. I mean, the more petroleum jelly you use, the better to a certain point. And then you just grab the little local pieces, try to get them up and around. And assuming you're using really dry things as material, it should take relatively quickly. You can see the wood blackening around it. And this, I mean, if I was doing this without trying to make an instructional video, this would, from the time I took it out of my pocket, assuming there's enough tinder around, I would have a fire going in 2.5, 3 minutes. I mean, it's literally the only things that you saw over what I did. Nothing off camera. So, it's just a good survival method. It's a good thing to have in your kit. I like to keep this, actually, I keep one of these in my car. It's not really that dry. Something good to keep. And just on something short like this, it's just a walk. If I was going out into the woods for a long time, like my trip last January, I wouldn't just bring this, but I'd bring some, you can buy at Walmart, it's like a pine resin press wood, and you can break them apart like fire starters, basically. You find them in the camping section, and that'll burn really well also. That'll take really nice from a lighter. You can't really get it lit with this because it's not really spread out in a lot of surface area. But that would be my primary method of starting a fire, and to be honest, I just think it's really cool. So this is my preferred method of starting a fire. Always bring waterproof matches with you. Always bring some sure way to cook your food, because those are 2 things for me that are really important. Aside from this, I always bring some way to boil water, which I use my jet boil for, which that thing's awesome. But you always have to be backed up as well with something like this to be able to create your own fire. Don't rely too heavily on technology, because technology might fail you, and then you're really failing yourself if you don't have your basic backup. Alright, so that's the fire. I'm Machete Mike. Check out my other videos. Thanks for watching.